Well, hello, everyone. First of all, I am so excited to be here because I have not been in the space for a while. And it's just beautiful to see. I'm actually quite emotional. This is just lovely. My heart woke up pounding this morning. And so, so thank you for allowing me to hold the space today. I thought before we go around, and of course, I know that it's a very fluid process. I wanted to bring in, before we go around and share, working with universal harmonic. And what that means in a very visual form of thinking and feeling and leaning into the harmonic of pure universal truth, the original codes, the original lovely, everything's in harmony, and our molecules are all dancing inside of our bodies, and our fingertips are tingling just because we're so fortunate to be in this moment, in this breath, in this now. And how beautiful that feels when that harmonic is just pulsating through us and we can feel it in everything around us. There's such emotional bliss for me in that. And so that's where I've been spending a lot of time. And so I carry a paintbrush in my hair. And when I'm walking, I paint the harmonics that I see in my eyes, and I'll move the threads so I can peek deeper into what's happening through the vibration of water and through the magnetic fields, and how is that affecting my perception and ability to lean in to all things and all possibilities, and how I feel like it's changing myself on a very molecular structure. So I wanted to bring that in because it's a place I love to rest in. The purity of what I see in that resonance, that field, that fractal, the lines, the vibration, the ripples from the puddle of thought, and how it just reverberates out. That's where I spend a lot of my time. And so with that, this puddle and reverberation and energy that I am sitting here in Portland is one of such awe, to be able to be here, out there, and with you, and so many different threads all at the same time. And so for me, I just want to bring in that expansiveness of the perfection of the moment in all aspects. And just sit with that, because my heart is like so wide open. It's like, come on in. Come on in. Let's see. Let's see what we can weave in that. So here in Portland, so glad to be with you all. And I will pass it to Sharon.
Sharon Raji, Woodby Island, sun today, and harmonics is the key, has been key for me. You know, what harmonics are still left that would interfere, and there's less and less of that, and a new and what songs need to be sung to get those kind of frequencies completely dissolved. It's all harmonics. It's all songs right now. So I really appreciate that, Kelly, really being able to sit in it. Yeah, other than that, I'm really grateful for the opportunity to, to be in the guidance space of others in this circle. So I'm glad to be here with you, guiding Kelly, and with Sue and Cinda, holding that space and broadcasting. And I'll pass to Sue.
Oh, Kelly, I like your description because that's the state of being I am spending as much time in as I can. So I'm now out at Lake Goodwin, which is Smoky Point, which is north of Everett, north of Marysville. And I have certain words that help me get there, but it's funny how a word will work one day, but it won't work the next day. And I keep changing whatever the word needs to be for the day. So I haven't used the word harmonics. So I think I will spend some time with that one and see what that is like. Because every time I do that, it just opens up a whole new expansive awareness, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and energetically. And every time I get one of those kind of a gentle explosion, so it would be an unfolding. Every time I get one of those unfoldings, just that I know I'm one with everything in life and I am okay. Everything is okay. Everything here is okay. I am not in any danger. And that's where I choose to live. So thank you for sharing that. And I'll call on Cinda.
Oh, Cinda, I'm in Stevenson, Washington. Hot here. It's cool where I am in the house. I'm excited. I hope that you can guide us through the harmonics, Kelly, because I don't know how to work with that or never have. And I'm excited. I think that could be really wonderful. So I'm excited. Thank y'all.
Yeah. So thank you. So are you still going around putting situations and people? Do you typically still do that? Okay, because
This is your circle. You do it the way you want.
Okay.
And we do.
Okay, perfect. So I want to share a little bit of a story and then we'll go around and do that. So so there's always for me messages in movies, right? I think there's always a metaphor. And I don't watch TV and typically TV, but I love the Marvel universe and all those things and anything that's mystical. So I watched Doctor Strange in the Multiverse this weekend. Fascinating. Oh, just loved it. Just loved it because it's just all about being fractaled everywhere. And I'm like, oh yeah, I know that. But the most, does anybody mind movie spoilers? Is that okay for anybody? Okay. The most important thing for me at the very end of the movie was you had a Doctor Strange who was trying to correct a timeline issue based on perhaps a conversion that he caused in choices in another timeline, right? And then you have the really chaotic Doctor Strange in this timeline that has a third eye that opens up, and he's got like the book of the dark book of magic, if you will, so to speak. But what happened was in their final battle of who's going to override the other was they worked with music notes. So they're in this castle, if you will, and they're having this battle. And this Doctor Strange, who's trying to correct the wrongs and stuff, sees a piano and is like, starts flinging musical notes through his Doctor Strange thing of this harmonic, the right harmonic, if you will, like the universal truth harmonic. And this Doctor Strange, the one is like throwing back at him a corrupted harmonic. And so they're casting these musical things and all these musical notes back and forth. And I'm like, I stood up in the middle of the movie. It was like 10 o'clock. And I'm like, oh my God, that's it. That's it. I mean, because that's what I see in my mind's eye is this casting and this casting and this casting. And it's like, but this is it. But no, this is it. And so anyway, they correct the timeline the way it needs to be in this moment. So then we're back into this corrected timeline, and Dr. Strange walks out of his place. And he's all dressed and all neat and dapper for the day. And as he's walking by a corner, it's like in New York City, on the corner is like this street band playing, and they're playing this music, but it's not the right harmonic. And he falls to his knees and he starts convulsing like, oh boy, here we go again. So it was just this metaphor, right? This light and the dark, the right and the wrong, the good and the, in a way, type thing. But the understanding for me is when we're in a place of universal harmonic within ourselves, and our molecular structure is vibrating in unison with our truest essence, that is when our bodies sing. Nothing can touch us when we're in that space, right? So at the molecular structure, because of the way our water molecules work and commune, it bounces everything off. And so working within that molecular vibratory field, when everything's in alignment, because it's kind of like, Cinda, when you and I worked on my hip and your foot, it was bringing that harmonic together. And once that harmonic's in place and the water molecules are around it to support that harmonic and keep it in its place, and we recognize that feeling of wholeness, then that to me is like, oh, that's like, wow. That's like, wow. So I wanted to share that before we place the people, situations in the room, to envision that proper harmonic, or casting out those misaligned frequencies in the universe or in somebody's field that's struggling, and what is that is, and working with that vibration. You think of that sand table, where they vibrate, and when they're all in alignment, there's an electrical current that's being shot through those alignment pieces, and it's that electricity that is so important for everything to have that energy firing inside. So with that, whoever would like to begin to place whoever they would like or situations into the room.
I'm going to piggyback on that, Kelly, because like you mentioned, there are some out in the world who are quite far away from that ability there, because there's still a lot of contamination in their field. So during this last week, really, asking how many outsiders are still present, because they don't change, that they are who they are. They just can't be here. They said there's only about 5% now left. So they're not the major cause. But the impact, the houses they built, the things they hid in the wall, the damage that was done in the neurological system, all of the damage energy is like the entropy. But it's not outsider. It's entropy damaged. And so they gave a whole new project called the Golden Song, which I find interesting when you talk about harmonics, because it's a song, and the vibrations themselves being broadcasting that golden song out into nature, out into this crystalline kingdom, out into the trees, out into the water, to create that song that takes that level of entropy. That's not the PTOs. That's not what they do. They remove the outsiders. But what about the damage? And so instead of having to take years and years to redo, and that golden song's intention is to get rid of that entropy, and then that, and so that those who are broadcasting like the harmonic of our divine nature is also part of the song. Part of that song is the vibrations of our divine family. So yeah, I see this a lot. We see this all the time, don't we, when we get together and go like, oh yeah, I understand that. Now I understand mine more than you, because you don't understand that. So that was great to hear. Thank you very much. And I'm going to put 23 people in the circle, and I've called it divine good, but I think it's very much what you're talking about. That energetic space where all there is divine good, and it is a harmonic, and let's see, 23 people and multiple world situations, and I pass to Cinda.
Mm. Oh, Kelly, that's so awesome. So I was listening to, Sharon, I was listening to your tag sessions recording because I couldn't be there. I was working. And you talked about how Spirit told you that that we all carry these cell phones, and the cell phones carry a frequency. And if we can take your song, your golden song, and run it through the phones, you know, who we would reach through the phone lines, through the electric cords. And that reminded me of when in one of our time travel sessions a few years ago, when I was working with Grace, and Grace visited me, and I also was having a series of events that were happening here where I got shocked. And anyway, the lesson that came out of it was to plug in grace. And meaning, like, when we take our computers and we plug it into the wall, you just plug in grace and send it through the currents, through the internet, through the phones, through the cellular lines, through the whatever. That's how we'll reach millions on an energetic level. So the harmonics, you know, I'm thinking of that movie and how songs can really impact us, and we wouldn't even be aware of what do they call that? Like when they slip hidden messages in movies or videos or stuff like that. What's that called? It's sort of like to, you know, for Dr. Strangelove to be impacted by a band that's what? Subliminal messages. Yeah. You know, it's like the power in, I mean, we know just the simple power of songs and how it moves us, but to actually create music with intent, pretty special. So I'd like to bring in one person and one world situation. And yeah, and I'm done, and I'll turn it over to Sue.
I had to change locations. So what came to mind while I was listening is I think I was in New Zealand, and we were in a very deep cave, and it was a cavern. It was a huge, huge cavern, like a cathedral. It was so big. And someone asked someone to sing Amazing Grace, and they said, please just listen. The acoustics were perfect. And she had a crystal clear voice. And I heard her heart and soul. And I don't think there was a dry eye in the group. So when I think of harmonics, I think of there is so many different ways to reach a frequency that affects our heart and soul. And it to me is a direct connection to my higher self, source, whatever you want to call it. And it's so profound, it changes me. And so whether it's whatever brings me to that frequency is the gift. And sometimes it's just a word. So when Cinda talks about grace, I can feel it and I'm right in it. And it just takes over. And I feel I'm all wrapped up in the most amazing love and support. So I'm looking forward to this meditation to see where the word harmonics takes me. I'm bringing in 27 people and one world situation and one personal situation for my granddaughter. And I am complete. Back to you, Kelly.
Right. So we have, I guess I will place mine in as well. It's interesting, just real quick, Cinda, on the frequencies you're talking about. So I normally don't wear wireless headset thingies. I prefer the wired because of the energy that's constantly going. But I washed these. These are Alex's. Shh, don't tell her. I accidentally washed them. And they're working. They're dried out. They're fine. But because of that, I feel that the water has changed their vibration. That now, whatever I listen to or whatever's coming through them that could be is different. You know, so I'm working with that. So I just wanted to share that. So I am bringing in, oh goodness, multiple world situations, one specific at the forefront. I am bringing in a familial gathering coming up shortly, which encompasses, I'll say 12 people. So I think that brings us to 54, 64. Not the biggest map whiz in the world, but it's close. I think. All right, so we'll go ahead and anchor in. Feel free to turn off your video if you choose. And I will guide you through whatever it is that comes in. Right? So as you close your eyes and taking in a deep breath and filling your lungs to their fullest capacity. And with the exhalation, feeling that surge of energy as the enriched blood courses through your body. And as you continue to breathe, go deeper with the breath in the visualization and bringing that oxygen into your lungs and seeing it enter into your system. And watching how the cells become alive And in those cellular structures, there is a rhythm happening. There is a pulsation. There is a song being sung in this amazing vessel that holds our expansive energetic fields. And with each breath, you dive deeper into the magic of the human experience, into the magic of the chemistry, into the magic of the molecular structures, into the magic of your universal harmonic, your truth, your song, your knowing. The resonance of your universal signature in its wholeness. And as you traverse your body, however you're led to do so, perhaps you're guided to focus on one space or another. Perhaps you go outside of yourself and recognize within the world situations or familial situation or whatever it may be, where the harmonic seems to be slightly off or out of tune. And perhaps you can visualize within that a note, a vibration, a particle of sand that, if placed or blown into the right line, can change the way the electricity fires within that exchange, bringing the harmonic closer to its truest and natural state. So I'll leave you there to explore what it is you have to explore within the frequencies harmonic of self. Mhm. Back. Yay. Right, whoever would like to share, if you desire.
I'll go first because it was hysterical. I turned up the volume and went and laid down on the couch so I could hear Kelly while she was walking us through it. And I was going to be really curious what would come of it. And then Kelly, when you stopped talking, the fan on my computer started to whine really loudly and go really fast, like really, and it like airplane ready to take off. And I started to giggle and I go, well, here we go. It's like, and it was this literally tone of, it just got higher and higher and faster, and then silence, and we were off. And at one point I jerked myself back into consciousness because I was, I was taken somewhere. And, and then there's this 84 is closed because of an accident. So the traffic up here on Highway 14 is really busy. So it's with all these cars going by. And so there was this rhythm of the cars, but it sounded like wind. And it was just, and so I was so tuned in to sound. I wasn't taken anywhere that I was aware of or traveled, but I was fully aware of sound, and it was lovely. So, oh man, and I feel amazing. That
Awesome.
I'll go next. So I'm in the middle of a conversation with my daughter's ex and trying to work, commitment to keep this balanced as she comes out of rehab, that we don't go sucking back into escalation. So learning some new skills, etc. So he was on my mind because we're in a conversation right now that's like, folks, yeah, it's very interesting. So what I did, where I was taken is with him, and also Michelle upstairs has a really bad headache that she gets periodically. So using that metaphor of what, is there a sand or is there a grain? Where is there in that harmonic that needs to be looked at? So I was drawn really to those two situations. And for me, with Paul, there was this little 5-year-old boy that was totally neglected with alcoholic parents and then divorced parents, and he was out of sync and needed to go. His mom's now passed on, and felt really to just take this 5-year-old and reconnect him to mom, who's now in a different, better place, as that sand that's out of whack. And with Michelle, what was interesting, because I've worked on her heart a lot and also on the donor a lot, but what came out for her in relationship to the headache is these 5 aspects of this person who was the original heart, the donor, because there was a really hard life there too that we know very little about. And it was like there's these 10 aspects of, I don't know, male or female, I'll just say him, of himself, similar to the 5-year-old with Paul, who had been struggling to kind of keep life together when he was the owner of the heart. And now Michelle's taking them into places that's scary because, she's much more capable, but yet they still were holding their job to keep survival mode, at least survival mode. And so again, it's the same kind of thing. Just what's the things that are the little grains of sand that are keeping the vibrations out of whack. So that's where I went and moved those into better places. So thanks, Kelly.
Mhm.
So the first thing that came to mind was harmonics orchestra, a huge onstage orchestra with every normal instrument, and then the unnormal instruments were all added in, and it was all playing together in sync. And it was the full range of light, like a light rain, thunder, lightning, very moving music, so you were attached to your heart, very scary music, clashing thunder and lightning, cannons, everything. And it wasn't an orchestra, it was the universe. And it was everything in the universe coming together in a way that creates a harmonics. And it can be interpreted as sound, as frequencies, as color. Whatever the mind can imagine, it can be experienced that way. And this morning I gave my PTO team a new job. And the new job is to identify, neutralize hate. Oh my gosh. I don't even want to think about it because the meditation was so great. But I gave them a new job. So they are to, it's hate, hatred, greed, exploitation, racism, sexism, homophobia, homophobia, violence, divisions, poverty, ignorance. And it just felt like I could clear it for myself. I cannot save the world, but I can add to the consciousness that will save the world. And that's my job. That's my mission. That's my healing. And so what's playing in my little reality, I think it's the Swan Song. And it's a kind of I think it's a delicate orchestration. I can't remember, but that's the name that came to mind. And it's a beautiful ballet. So as the universe plays out, as good versus evil plays out on our planet, I'm going to stick with the songs of the heart and the songs of my oversoul. And I just know that using the words and the sounds and the frequencies, everything in a what is the word? Vernacular, will come together in my body, and I know I'm healing. And it can be a prayer, and it can be a song. It can be so many things. And that's the part I just love. There's no wrong answer. There's no right answer, just what works. So thank you. I really enjoyed that.
Awesome. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I was in the, so for me, even my personal Zoom meeting room is 369-963-7272. And it's all about 369s, right? And of course, the number 18. So today's the 27th, right? And the math for the numbers today was actually 63. So for the actual numbers, so 6 + 3 is 9. So to me, everything's in perfection. You know, it's like, I just love when I can paint myself a riddle. At least I got 63, maybe 64, but I'm going to go with 63 just for the exercise of this moment. I look for that kind of thing in every situation I can find. Every experience I have, I find the resonance. Everything, even in the tough things that seem like there wouldn't be one, I find it. I find it. And so I'm just I think of myself as being like in this experience, like being in that, you know, those balls we used to go to at Spencer's and we'd put our hand on the ball. It's like the Tesla energy ball, you know, that's how I feel. It's so electric and fun inside. It's just like, oh, that just feels so cool. So that's the space that I'm in right now. So thank you for that, for being here and facilitating that energy and being part of that for me, because it's an exchange.
Great opportunity. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you. It's fun. It's good to see everybody.
Oh, it was so lovely, Kelly. It was so lovely. I just really, I came to this so tired because it's so hot outside. And it was just what I needed. It was beautiful. I feel re-energized.
Yeah, me too.
Good, good, good.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kelly. And
Yeah, thank you.
until we're together again, you never know. Bye, loves.
You never know.
It was beautiful.